What is up, responsible day traders? Today is Monday. It is Monday, January 16th, 2023. I am Lindsay Duff, and this is Responsible Day Trading. So this last week has been extremely interesting. It has done what we anticipated. It started to push up, and we are kind of hanging out in an area that could create a bounce back to the downside. But we're going to look at the signals. We're going to see what it's telling us and see if we anticipate it to continue up or if this is a point where it's going to push back down. So, and we may see it push back down a little bit and then move to the upside. So there's a couple of different scenarios that we want to be aware of and we want to just have in our mindset so that when that time does come around, that we are able to really, take advantage of the moves. Also, currently right now we are having a 50% discount today for Blue Monday. So it's for you profit trader, and that will just be through the end of today. So if you haven't already checked that out, make sure you do. All right, guys, let's go ahead, check out the news, and then we'll see what the market's got for us. Okay, guys, so let's go ahead and head on over to news. We're going to go to market news. We're going to see what the market has got for us today or this week. So obviously today was a holiday, so the market just opened back up. It did close at noon today. Tomorrow we don't have any news. Wednesday it's all pre-market. So it looks like we got all pre-market Wednesday. We got mostly pre-market on Thursday, but at 10 o'clock we do have crude oil inventories. So it might just be something that you want to be aware of. Remember, that's in Central Time. And that's about an hour and a half after the market opens. And then 30 minutes after the market opens on Friday, we've got existing home sales. So just things, like I say, always, we just want to be aware of them. Not necessarily that we need to be out for them, but just paying attention. Okay, so let's see what we got going on here. Now, we have seen this kind of look before where it has pulled back. It's pulled up to the area, it's pulled back into it, and then pushed off. What we haven't seen is the way this look is right here. Now, we may see an M pivot that pushes this back to the downside, or we may see this come up a little bit higher, make some divergence between here and pull back down. So there's a couple of different scenarios that could happen. So we just want to be prepared and aware for all of them. So currently what we're seeing, and this was really great. So we were seeing the reversal bar here previously, but we were looking at these MACDs and saying, man, I don't know if I believe that reversal bar is going to push it down. And it didn't. The MACDs stayed outside of the Bollinger Bands with strength, and it pushed up to this area where it's holding. Now, we see several times where it's held at this area, right? The area of the EMA, overrun it by a little bit, understood, but we can see it holding. So, what I would be really excited to see is for it to pull back down in here and hang out a little bit and then push back up and start making it through these areas. I think it would be amazing if we saw that, but we're just going to have to watch and read what's happening. So when it's pulling back up into here, we want to look at the MACDs and say, okay, what are they telling us? We did have a lot of strength getting back above here. They are starting to weaken just a little bit. Haven't gotten inside yet. Sometimes that takes a little bit more time as we are on the daily chart here. So that is that gentle giant that takes a little time to roll over. We are seeing them weakening because they're getting closer, right? When we see this distance between the BBs, it's showing us strength and really affirms that continuation. Now, we may even see something happen like this, where it just pulls in just a little bit and continues pushing up. So we're going to have to watch and see what this MACD will produce and what the other charts are telling us if we should anticipate this to continue or not. Like I said, these are kind of close together, so we may see a bit of a slowdown here. If they start to pick up the pace and the distance starts to become greater between these BBs, then we're going to anticipate this continuing to the upside. Okay. I mean, it always is going to eventually pull back. What I'd love to see, and like I said, is to really see this continue to the upside where it goes up here, pulls back into the area, and then to the upside. So that's what I'd like to see. But what I like to see and what happens isn't always the same. So I just always want to be prepared for any situation. So if it rolls off here and continues down, we may see it pull back and kind of fight between this area and maybe just keep pushing down. We're going to have to watch and see what these MACDs do. It's going to take a lot of work at this time for that MACD to get back below this Bollinger Band, which tells me the shorts may be short-lived. Okay. If we do see shorts, they may not be the main direction that we're looking for. I always pay attention to those MACDs. So we want to see that and know what's happening. All right. So then we go to the 28,657. And, we can see a little more clearly how it's just holding off around these spaces. We are working to get back above it, but we do have some white BBs. We've seen this before. The white BBs pulled in, still pushed up. Now it did pull back with strength, but you saw these BBs roll inside here, give good indications of continuation to the upside there. It did push back harder and deeper, but it just took it straight to the EMA, right? So let's open this up just a little bit more so we can see what these MACDs are actually doing. All right, so it pulled up and that BB didn't break through, but we didn't make a new high either. So that is, that's okay, right? But we do see these starting to roll a little bit. It'd be really, really awesome to see them come up, make new highs, maybe a new BB, maybe new white BBs, and then maybe come back and make some divergences before it pulls back. It's really what we look for when we're looking for pullbacks are divergences in the price and the MACDs, where the MACDs where the price is either equal or higher and the MACDs are leading lower to give us that indication that it's going to pull back. And man, so this actually, I just want to talk a little bit about this. This was pre-market news, okay? And there was a bunch of news coming out that day. So these are the type of things that, you can't always prepare for when news happens. If you happen to be in somewhere up in here expecting it to go up, and then it just slices through your stop, it may not take you out at that time, because sometimes when those fast moves happen like that, it just slices through and it doesn't give it time to recognize the stop, and you can end up losing more than you plan on. That's one of the reasons it's really, really good to pay attention to when news is coming out. And, if you're not skilled in trading, then you may just want to sit out during that time. Okay, so long story short, though, EMAs are still open to the upside. We've had very little activity inside of the EMAs, just a little bit here, a little bit here. We're still pulling back and pushing up. We are above the zero line, way, way, way above that Bollinger Band, which tells us we can maybe indicate this to continue up. So let's look at what's happening on our trading charts. So we look at the 10,946 here, and last week we talked about making these charts smaller so we could deal with some of this mess. But, that may have been something that you chose to use. It was moving fairly nicely to give some opportunities through here. It got a little difficult as these long bars started happening in the 10,946. So on the 10,946 right now, above the EMA, pulled back into it. It stayed wide and open to the upside. Tiny little reversal bar rolling at the zero line. I mean, we see some good reasons for this to continue up. Rolling off the zero line here and pushing up. It's so far been a very weak movement in the MACDs to the upside, on both of these charts. But it does still have what looks like a little bit of umph up. Even if it does pull back into here or even into here, we may still see it continue up because it's just got the good looks to it. It's above the zero line. EMAs are opening up to the upside. We have seen some movement inside here, but it was really just to get to areas on the bigger charts on the opposite side here. And you can see, drawing these support and resistance lines. And I drew these in months ago, but they still hold strong. You can see just pulled right down to that area and boom, bounced right up, pulled right back up to this area, which also is around the EMAs. And you can see it held as resistance, then support again, resistance. So it's just dancing around this area, right? It is looking like it's trying to make the move still to the upside on the 1597. We might be slowing down a little bit and pulling back in. We had some great little pullbacks that happened right here, staying outside of the Bollinger Bands. Still, are we outside? We are. It does look like it's trying to give a little bit of a pullback, and a little bit of a pullback is fine because it gives us better price opportunities to get in whenever it does that. So sometimes if we wait too long to get in, because we're nervous that we've missed the move, then what ends up happening at that point is you're getting in a little bit too late and you start to do what I call trading in the middle. And you're trading in the middle because you have a high here and you have a low here and you're just kind of out in the middle, and it could really pull back to this low before it tries to attempt to make a new high. So with something like this, I would just be a little more cautious, aware, prepared, and maybe just sit on your hands for a little bit and wait for it to come back and settle back into these areas here, or maybe even move down a little bit lower, closer to what happened back here. Although that tiny little reversal bar was a great indicator for the pushback to the upside. So that's about it. My anticipations are to see this go up some more. So, but as I always say, I don't want to put my opinions on it, right? So even though it's showing signs of more up now, in an hour that could change, and we could have some big news that pushes it hard in the other direction, and you say, hey, you know what, maybe I'm going to hold off on those longs for a little bit and see what it's got in the short direction. And even just planning those pullbacks, knowing that we have the anticipation of it pulling back, maybe using those as an opportunity before you get to the big move anyways. So, all right, guys, don't forget to take advantage of that 50% off for the rest of today. I hope that everybody has a wonderful week. And as always, you know that I look forward to catching you on the profitable side.